Welcome to today's Browns Film Breakdown, your Saturday edition. We have an unbelievable college football schedule to talk about, games to pick, prospects to talk about. It's all here. It's a jam-packed show. Brad Ward with me at the beginning. We get a great guest, Cory Kinnan, to come through and talk about the quarterback prospects. Can't wait to do it. Hopefully this Saturday pod finds you well. Let's get going with the latest Browns Film Breakdown, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Saturday edition. Hope it finds you well. Hope you are having a fantastic Saturday morning, afternoon, or whenever this finds you. We have been talking about this sports weekend for a long time, Brad. I don't know that everybody's a golf fan. I'm a golf fan. Maybe you're not, buddy, but they got the Ryder Cup rolling. The Americans are not off to a very hot start, but that's rolling. We get that all weekend. Should the Americans close the gap, that would help. But we got a full slate of college football games. We could have picked about 9 games for our 5 pick'em that we like to do, but we have to settle on 5. We did that. We'll talk about them. And then there's so many big prospect games for the quarterbacks especially, but the tackles too, and the wide receivers and all of them that I wanted to talk with Cory Kinnan. So we will deep dive on some of those guys as well, because it's kind of like a nice little quarterly college football season check-in on all these important quarterback prospects. So stick around for that after the break. Before we get to that, though, Brad, what's up, dude? And how are you, man? What's going on?
I'm great. I'm terrific. I super enjoyed your talk with Matt Waldman and Jeff Risdon. So great
busy.
job. Great job. Yeah, you've been busy. Those guys were both great. You know I love Jeff. He's a great guest always, and Matt Waldman was terrific as well. So those were awesome shows. We did All Eyes on Cleveland on Thursday night. It was a lot of fun. We had a great turnout.
Good show.
For that, and got Case's opinion on some stuff. So that's kind of where we're at here on the channel.
I love it. We're firing, man. The Pistons are moving. Have you had any LCL trouble lately?
LCL.
Yep. No, you haven't? Well, Dawand Jones has. That's the injury, brother. He's got a torn LCL. Okay.
Threw me.
I know. I caught you off guard there. He's got a torn LCL, as we've come to understand, which is like a 4 to 6 month recovery after surgery. The Browns updated us with a successful surgery message. It was performed on the LCL tear in the knee and a hamstring avulsion that he suffered. So it was gnarly. And what ticks me off the most is that the NFL responded to the Browns' inquiry and said that it should have been a penalty. They should have flagged it. That's the exact thing that the league has tried to stop. And I don't know. I can't even tell you which player did that for the Packers. But there's like, hey, man, that guy ruined someone. I mean, that could have the chance here to ruin his career at this point. It takes him out in a vital third year doing a thing that should be illegal. It is illegal. It's flagged. It's dangerous in the open field. They've eliminated it for that reason. This, to me, that decision, that illegal thing, is no different than targeting to me. Because if Dawand Jones had a head injury from targeting, he'd probably be out 2 or 3 weeks and he'd be back. He just ended his season, which could, in fact, lay down the groundwork for ruining a chance at him getting a second contract in Cleveland. The ramifications of such are pretty wild when you think about it. And I don't know, and I probably won't follow this close enough to know if they'll fine the player for Green Bay that did it. But I'm just like, that is such, I mean, that's a play you're trying to get out of the game, no different than throwing guys out of the game when they target someone's head.
Yeah.
And there's probably zero ramification for doing that. And you didn't even get flagged in the moment in the game. It sucks. In every way, it sucks.
And the going low thing, a play you're trying to get out of the game, is more impactful for a longer amount of time than even like the targeting stuff most of the time.
I know. That's the problem, man. I can't stand how there's no ramification for that. Although they deem it illegal, they're trying to get it out of the game. It's like, okay, well, nothing's going to come of it. And now you lose a guy that's important to your offense for the whole season because someone did a play that they have deemed as something they want out of the game. So anyway, the surgery was successful. The team physician, James Woos, did it at the University Hospital, expected a full recovery for 2026. It's 3 straight years of injuries that have ended a season in surgery and rehab. And so you can get into a dark place if you're in that space that Dawand is in, where you're away from the team again. You're in leg propped up situation again, getting disciplined to lose weight and stay in shape again. It's a lot there. So I don't, if I'm putting odds, I don't even want to do it. The odds of him coming back in 26 and once again being in good shape and getting out, it's hard to imagine. It stinks all the way around, but that's the story. That's what we know. The LCL tear is the update. Myles Garrett. Oh, go ahead, Brad. I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. I can't even imagine that 3 years,
No.
like 3 years in a row to be in the same spot.
Well, that's kind of like the stuff that ran Andrew Luck out of the league a lot. It runs a lot of guys out of the league. The depression of being hurt all the time. Like, so some people have started to have some conjecture about like how Joe Burrow's dealing with it all the time. Like, you just getting hurt so many times can make guys fall out of love with the game. That can happen. And that's the dangerous part of football. And so many careers that could have been something special are, not because of injuries. And some of these injuries are out of Dawand's control, especially that one, which is
for sure
obviously a bummer. Myles Garrett responded to the comments made by the offensive coordinator, John Morton of the Lions, who said they haven't seen a run game like ours, which is true. Confidence in your guys and all that stuff. Myles responded with he's entitled to his opinion. He hasn't seen a defensive front like ours, Myles says. And then he says, we have the privilege to see who's right. I like that. We do have the privilege to see who's right, which is really cool. So that's exciting to see this matchup. I put out a video, a little film room, 7 or 8 minutes on the concept I think that they're going to test the Browns on. You can check that out. It is a popular sentiment around league circles here between big podcasts that cover the NFL is hey man, these are two great units going up against each other. Who's going to win it? And I think I have a feel for what the Browns need to be prepared for with that video. So watch it if you're interested for Browns Film Breakdown subscribers, Brad. So yeah, there we go.
Tremendous stuff. Absolutely.
We have the final injury report from both sides. Mike Hall will be out of this one, which is he did practice in full yesterday. I mean, it stinks he's missing the 4 games, but
2 days.
He did. Yes, you're right. 2 days in a row, which is good. Probably means he's good for week 5. I don't like people can be upset about the fact he's missed 4 full games but you didn't know. Maybe he was going to be ready ahead of schedule and they didn't want to have him ready ahead of schedule and not be able to use him. So I understand if he was this close to being ready for week 4, why they would put out like, hey, we'll just keep him on the 53. He's inactive until he's ready. Cause they were really trying to have him ready for one of these 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying?
It's not an exact science. And,
That's exactly right.
You get 5 inactive players. The chances that, we actually talked about this case. The chances that the guy that would have replaced him on the 53 is one of those inactives is probably pretty good. So, considering on where you're at, but I get it. I mean, it's another player that could have been active, but I don't think it's really like burdensome that he's been on the roster.
No, especially with how well the defensive line has been playing. It's not like you've been short and you're like, we can't get another guy active because they kept. They're good. And he'll be ready, it sounds like, for week 5. All things go smoothly. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. Jack Conklin remains questionable. Stefanski said he's progressing, but the team is still taking it day by day. He'll go through. This is why I didn't love the verbiage of he will potentially go through a pregame workout in Detroit. I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna play. Maybe that potentially is like he feels so good he doesn't need to do one, or he does, and we'll see. I don't know. I mean, they need him. They badly need him, but you also don't have an elbow. You can't play that position. I think it's his right elbow too, which is the high side elbow. I think no matter what, though, both of them are. You got to be able to brace with the elbow. So not encouraged by that statement, but as we know, to trust the Browns on any of this stuff is dicey. He could be just fine, and they're trying to play it, sort of creatively, as the Rangers have just gone up 4-0 on the Guardians, which is not what I love as I'm sitting here. I'm going to move on, though, and bury that down inside deep. Moving on. The Lions released their final injury report, which has Zach Cunningham was not listed with an injury to the hamstring. Then he had a limited practice with the hamstring Thursday. And this impacts their base defense, which I know you're going to write about tomorrow, some of their linebackers. So he didn't practice today, and he is out for the game. Daniel Thomas, their safety, one of the depth safeties, also out. And depth running back, Sione Vaki, who's a special teams part of their process, has a groin. He will be out. Didn't practice all week. Al-Qadim Muhammad is going to be questionable. He did 2 straight days of limited practice. Derek Barnes, the linebacker for them, had a limited 2 days and then a full. So he's good to go. He doesn't have any status on the game. But the one it's concerning or interesting, I guess, and I'd only trace this back a week. So I looked at what Taylor Decker did last week. He was not practicing. So they played Monday. So everything's moved back a day. So the first practice of the week, he didn't practice on Thursday, but then he was a full participant in Friday's practice, Saturday's practice, and played on Monday. He didn't practice a single day this week. And Dan Campbell mentioned, like, this isn't what we want, but this might be the world we have to live in with him dealing with this shoulder injury. It remains interesting if he'll play or not. And it obviously really matters whether he plays or not in this game, because he's, more than capable tackle opposite, they're, I don't know, probably consider to be the best in the league, right? And Penei Sewell. So I think that this would have an impact on how effectively they're able to run the football. And maybe the shoulder's so bad that's something Miles is taking advantage of anyway. And I don't like to say it that way. It kind of sounds heinous, but like that's a big one. We'll have to definitely be keeping our eye on both Jack Conklin and what Taylor Decker's situation will be come game time.
Yeah. 2 offensive linemen, 2 tackles, critical to both teams. And man, as you said, this matchup, Browns defense, Lions offense is
must-see TV this week, folks.
Highly touted, and must-see NFL matchup for sure.
See if the Browns offense comes prepared to play, because if they do, you can get a pretty good game here. I think it's got a chance to be that way. Let's switch over before we go over to Cory and do our college picks. Okay, last week. I'm rolling, man. 13-7 now. 4-1 last week. You went 3-2. So you had a good week. Now up to 9-11. And from where you started, you went 1-4 the first week. So you put yourself in a better position here. But you need a good week, Brad. Need a good week. We got USC, number 21 USC at Illinois. And it's an early kick, though. It's a noon kick for the left coasters. Actually, it would probably be 11 because that's a central time in Illinois. So not as egregious, but
10.
Noon here, 11 in Illinois. So it would be 9 a.m. for the feel of the USC guys, right? So Illinois is a central time, I believe. So,
so be like 10 o'clock feel for USC guys, right, in Illinois?
Yes, correct. That's
be 9 o'clock if it was east. So
they're kicking off at 11.
Central.
Yeah. We're going. We're saying the same thing. Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing. Okay, so we both took USC. Illinois is getting 6.5. I look at what they did against Indiana last week, and I'm like, I don't trust that team for anything. So I think USC is going to go there and beat them by a touchdown. That's the hunch I have, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, super weird game they played with Michigan State right last week. They came down to the end, but I do think they beat Illinois. Illinois was unimpressive in a big spot against Indiana.
To say the least. Indiana boat raced them. The next one is a rare single-digit line for a number 1 team playing a non-ranked team. So this is the respect people have for Washington, sort of scared respect because they haven't played anyone, but they think they're good. So they like the Damon Williams kid at quarterback. They have the Boston kid at wide receiver. They've got talent, but they don't know whether to trust them. But they also are like, hey, it's Ohio State going out to Washington. It's going to be loud. It's going to be raucous, tough environment out there. I still think Ohio State wins by 10. I think it's like a 34-21 is the hunch I have. 10 plus is a comfortable spot for me. So I would, like, if this was 11.5, I'd probably still take it. But I think at 8.5, I'm very into taking it.
Yeah, I am in the same boat. I'm laying the 8.5 and taking Ohio State to win. I just think that they will be. It's been a few weeks since they've had the big matchup that they started off the season with. So I just think they'll be ready for this one. They'll be up for this one.
I agree. I think it should be one of those like road tests Ohio State loves. So I think that'll be a really good one. Next, we have LSU, number 4 LSU at number 13 Ole Miss in the Lane Kiffin's daughter bowl. She's like apparently dating Will Weeks, the linebacker at LSU. It's going to be crazy atmosphere in Ole Miss for this. They got this quarterback who's playing, young kid who's playing well for them. It's a real coin flip here. I think they're trusting the quarterback of LSU, Nussmeier, more in this game. That's my hunch, and I'm going to do the same. But man, I could see Ole Miss really coming out hot and getting this one done. But I'm going to go with the experience that LSU brings to these big games.
Yeah. In these kind of games, I tend to just go, the home team in this atmosphere. So I'm going Ole Miss. Yeah.
Can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
Point now.
I think I'm trusting. Let's see if Nussmeier comes through.
Yeah.
The biggest game of the week is the whiteout, 7:00 kick. I went last year to Ohio State at Penn State. It was a nooner. I was annoyed with that fact, but it was still deafening. It is so loud in that stadium. Oregon travels there, left coast to east coast.
What's the thing
it's
they
a
do
lot
there? Rawr, rawr, rawr.
Oh yeah, man! They got the Nittany Lion roaring, and Dan Lanning on true road games, not great. Like 1-2, 1-3. This is a test for Oregon and a test for young Dante Moore, who is a name shooting up quarterback boards that we're going to talk to Cory about in a minute. And Drew Aller, another prime time opportunity here. Penn State's laying 3.5 at home. I'm going to take Oregon in a bit of an upset here. And at minimum, take the Penn State walk-off field goal and feel good about it.
Yeah. I'm taking Penn State to win. I think they cover.
Got them winning like 31-24, something like that, maybe 26, 31-26. You get your, get your cover.
Lower scoring than that.
Okay. All right. Well, for the sake of wanting these quarterbacks to be good, I would like a shootout if we can, guys.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, man.
Think about that.
Alabama and Ty Simpson fighting for their reputation. They could really use a win at Georgia. Number 5, Georgia. Number 17, Alabama. And Georgia's only laying 2.5 at home. I still don't get it. I don't think Georgia's great by any means. All right, Manzardo. Now we're talking 4-2. I'm doing this. People like these live on the pod.
Let's go.
4-2. We're getting back into it. All right. I'm going to fire off something into our founders channel right now. Right. Live on the pod. Let's go is what I tweeted. I didn't tweet. That's not a tweet. That's just a message. So we're rolling 4-2, fighting back. But anyway, I mean, I just don't get it. I think Alabama is playing. I mean, they had a good game against Wisconsin, but I think everyone thinks Wisconsin's kind of falling apart here.
Yeah.
After what Maryland did, so that's not a good team.
No.
So I don't trust Alabama on the road to only get 2.5. Like, still feels like Georgia just winning at home on a walk-off field goal is perfect for what I would take here. So FanDuel's giving you some benefit here.
Yeah, it's a short number, Jake. I'm taking Georgia.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you can't. Maybe that's something that you should be like. I almost feel like maybe you should be afraid of that because everyone's gonna be like, I'll just take Georgia.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something to this one. We'll have to see. But God, is it a great day of football? We got some really good like Friday night games that are going to be happening. I mean, obviously, this pod will be over before, but this is just like, Florida State's already playing Virginia, who's up early. What's up? TCU's at Arizona State, Houston at Oregon State. Those are good Friday night games, Brad. Then we got like Notre Dame and on the road at Arkansas taking on Taylon Green, who's having a nice year. We're getting into the thick of conference play. Cincinnati at Kansas is fun, Brad. What else do we have? Man, there's so many. The Auburn on the road at A&M. Auburn trying to get some dignity back, right? Utah at West Virginia coming out east. West Virginia's bouncing back a little bit after that Ohio loss. What other ones stand out? I'm scrolling quick. Tennessee, 3-1. Tennessee at 4-0. Mississippi State.
That's
Mississippi State playing some better ball. Arizona, undefeated 3-0 Arizona at Iowa State, who's 4-0, 14 in the country.
I like Arizona in that game.
put your butt on the couch and just watch ball all day. Kentucky 2-1 heading to South Carolina to face Lenora Sellers and the 2-2 Gamecocks. Both teams really need a win.
Yeah.
And then close it up with some BYU Colorado 10-15 kickoff if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All day, brother. Then we get the NFL on Sunday. It is just a pristine
early
sports weekend. Oh yeah. It'd be great. So I know, listen,
Minnesota.
We're going to have the FanDuel parlay coming for you Sunday. I promise we're going to hit on one of these, man. We're going to do it. Just stick with us. Be patient.
Got to see it go through the hoop one time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You see a 3 go through the hoop, you can turn into Klay Thompson on the wing, man, right?
Yeah.
You can start knocking them down like free throws. We're going to get there, so stick with us in FanDuel. We're going to nail it at some point. And that's probably it, Brad. We'll head over to talk to Cory Kinnan a little bit about these prospects, but the film room's up. You're going to have an opening drive from Brad on Saturday. I'll get a college prospect. I'll probably talk Dante Moore a bit in depth for you guys, so keep your eye out for that. And then we're into the game day, and we'll have the pod ready for you there too. So we're fired up. It's a good football weekend. Hopefully, like we said, we said at the beginning, you get a nice, easy weekend and you can watch some good ball all weekend because Brad and I will. We're going to be watching some good ball.
Yep.
So we're going to be doing. So for both of us, thanks for being here. And we appreciate seeing you. And we'll catch you on the other side. A quick word from our sponsors and spend some time with Cory Kinnan. We'll be right back. I think we had this day circled on our calendar for a long time, Cory. I've got family coming to my place tomorrow. It's all day. They're not so much Ryder Cup folks, but there's good amount of football on in every window tomorrow. And it's, as folks are listening to this on Saturday morning, it's going to be awesome. And if you're a Browns fan, you're obviously tied to watching some of these quarterbacks, and it's enough of the Charleston Southerns of the world. And now we're getting into real games that mean something, defenses that move like NFL defenses and challenge you and make you uncomfortable, in environments that'll make guys uncomfortable on the road. And I want to dig into all of that. I know you did a pod, Cory, ahead of the weekend on Daft on Draft, and people, if you're interested in more deep dive on these, obviously find a recommendation to Cory's site, and then the podcast, obviously through his Substack, can be found there as well. So, Cory, I do want to just a little time on these guys. It probably starts with Oregon, Penn State, which is, we're accustomed to this as Ohio people, the whiteout game that is going on. There's going to be a ridiculous atmosphere. And I think people forget Dante Moore's not new. Like, he actually played ball games at UCLA before he went to Oregon and watched Dylan for a year and all of that. So this is not going to be like, I've never seen anything like this before from him. Right. But it'll be a good test. And if you're not familiar with the name Dante Moore, it seems like he is the one rising.
Yeah. Yeah. My hand is on the big red button with Dante Moore just because the process has been so clean through these first, 4 games. But again, he's played Montana State, the shell of Oklahoma State, Northwestern, and Oregon State, who's bled every bit of talent since they don't get any conference money, or they get minimal conference money now in the Pac-12. So hasn't really been tested, but again, you can still see in those games, is he still passing the tests that are in front of him, and he's passed them with flying colors? And again, I like to also say, ball placement and accuracy doesn't waver based on opponent. You put a ball in the receiver's hands, you put a ball in a tight window, a tight window is a tight window, accuracy is accuracy. So from that perspective, Dante Moore has been spectacular this season. So if he goes out, at Penn State in that whiteout, and he looks the same, has the same sort of process, the same sort of accuracy, the same sort of poise in the pocket, I'm pushing the button, man. It's time to start talking about this guy as a top 10 pick. It's time to start talking about him as a top 10 pick and one of the best quarterbacks in this class. Again, I also think there's an element of maturity that goes with realizing I started as a true freshman. I'm going to go get out of this environment. I'm going to go to Oregon and sit behind Dylan Gabriel for a year, and then we'll try this thing again. I think there's an element of maturity to that. And yes, I prefer college quarterbacks to have more experience, and I think the NFL does too, because just look at the trajectory of guys coming in who've played a lot of college ball versus those who haven't at the NFL level. But again, I think his situation is so unique that kind of feels like a gray area at this point as well.
I almost think the pathway he's gone down of resetting, getting to a more stable program, better coaching, better talent around him, feels a little bit what DJ Lagway might need. Now, he's not going to get a year off, but that's a wreck down there. And I think it's really rubbing off on his performance. It's not that we're talking about DJ for this class. He can't be it, but it's just, encouraging things as a freshman. And then you're seeing some really gross play. I don't need you to, I'm not throwing that at you, riff on it, but just you reminding me of that exact situation that would probably benefit a guy who I think is still pretty talented despite, what their performances are tying to in Florida. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that program is going to look a lot different here in a couple of weeks, I think. So
you're right. Is there any quarterback that needs a good performance here? Borderline elite performance than Drew Aller? I think that's where it's at, right? I mean, he's been so uninspiring in these non-meaningful games. And yeah, I don't know. I'll save it. I don't think he's suited for what people have thought he was going to be. And I know you've been at the forefront of this too. I don't think one game changes that for him here, but I do think he could really use a game to show he can do it, right? Like if he gets on a heater, this is what can happen. He needs it bad.
Big time, because he's never had it. And this is his third year as a starting quarterback in a Big Ten program. Again, people like to point to the Big Ten championship game, but under the hood, that game's not all that inspiring against Oregon last year. You get into the playoffs, and again, they had the easiest path to the semifinals of any team in college football, playing SMU and Boise State. And again, he made a couple throws early in the Boise State game, but they were up they were up 2 scores early in that game. They handed the ball off 30 times in that game. So, and again, he hardly completed 50% of his passes in that game. So and then the Notre Dame game is pound for pound. Again, I understand that it's the college football semifinals, but that's when you want your quarterback to be at his best. And it is maybe the worst game, like the worst quarterback game I watched all of last season. Like it is a truly atrocious performance. Then you rewind that to Ohio State last year and any other big time opponent that he's played, and he's just kind of always wilted in the moment. And so, and again, something that we've talked about with Aller on air, off air is just like, for a guy who has had such intense private quarterback coaching, there's no excuse for how sloppy his fundamentals are. Like from a very basic understanding of throwing from a base and having your feet set, how sloppy his fundamentals are. And it impacts his accuracy because he's a spray shooter right now, just a flat out spray shooter. So
yeah, I understand the premise of what they're trying to do. And if you want to dig deeper on this, Cory, I know you've talked extensively about it, so you can find it, but you're a guy that can either live in that world and you wear a uniform for the Packers for a long time, and now the Steelers, or I get what they're chasing. I get the biomechanics of what they're chasing, but I don't think it's for everyone. I really don't. And some guys can live in that world and overcome an arrangement of the body that is unnatural to an extent, and some can't. And I think Drew has found himself in a tricky place with that, where, and again, nobody wants the hometown hero story more, right? Like, we're very into it. It's just, you can't put something in place that isn't there. And right now, it's not just like, hey man, go look at his Boise State tape. This is the thing. If there's an unusual amount of bad tape and a sprinkled in few good moments, right? And then someone will be like, well, what about Josh Allen? What about that? And they're going to say the outliers. Hey, when Drew can run like a 4.7 and actually be football faster than that, and also have other twitchiness in his game, we could have that talk, but that's not the world we're living in here. And that's not meant to be disrespectful. He's not that athlete. He's not. Mm-hmm. And Josh needed years of being that athlete to figure out how to change his mechanics to get into a spot that he was more consistent with accuracy. So we'll leave it there. Drew needs a big game to get a stretch in place where he can play out the rest of this year really well. And maybe, again, it's not impossible that this springboards him and he puts together some good games. But as we're looking at the body of work for this year, I could not echo Cory more that it's like, oh, what's happening? It's probably just an indication of this is kind of who he is. And that's it. I know you're into, go ahead. And if you have something more on Aller.
Well, yeah, I was just going to add in there. And for my charting process, I don't have a chartable game on Aller because I'm not mucking my data down with these P4 guys playing against these low level competitions. So
I don't even know if you would find anything.
It wouldn't even look good.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it would even change it based on the results we've seen. I mean, there are moments where he's just like mad at himself, throwing inaccurate screens, and I think the weight of it all is on top of him, and how he performs in this one with the weight of it all there. You know, I'm going to be interested, because if it's bad again in one of these, then you're talking about like they're going to look at the Columbus kid, the Grunkmeyer kid from Olentangy, or I think that's where he's from. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Ty Simpson seems to be gaining some buzz. The Alabama kid who waited it out and stuck around and has watched good quarterbacks come and go. It's you talk about the Wisconsin performance and what you could see potentially there for him.
So the operation was as clean as could be in that Wisconsin game. Again, Wisconsin program's in a rough spot. I would admit that as well. Even the Florida State game, though, there's a lot of Ryan Williams drops on that tape, on good throws in that tape as well. But the Wisconsin game, from an operational perspective, and again, this is another one of those Kirk Cousins kind of clone quarterbacks where it is very like play action heavy, hit back football comes out. But from an operational perspective, that's how you play clean football. Alabama wasn't forced off schedule. They weren't forced off script the entire game. So but again, the tests that are in front of him, he was passing, including, Jordan Reed broke this throw down on Twitter. You could go find it on his Twitter. You'd probably have to scroll a little bit at this point, but there's one red zone rep where he undresses the entire defense pre-snap, uses motion, throws a beautiful skinny post to Ryan Williams, and Williams drops it in the end zone. Williams scored like 2 touchdowns and had like 200 yards receiving in that game, but he dropped that one in the end zone. And it was just like a beautiful pre-snap to snap to post-snap operation. Again, extremely accurate. The arm is nice. Again, he's a first-year starter as well, but I think he falls in that same gray area as Dante Moore of he's a first-year starter, but because, I mean, Dante Moore's technically not even a first-year starter, but first-year starter, but he's already 22. He's already a graduate. This is his 4th year in the Alabama program. He stuck around. This is his 2nd year with DeBoer. He spent 2 years with Saban. So again, he lives in kind of that gray area of he doesn't have the starting experience under his belt. Right. Yeah, but he's got a ton of scout team experience against 30 NFL players at this point, probably upwards of 30 NFL players. So I think he kind of lives in that gray area as well.
So, okay, the test coming up for Mendoza, right? He's got at Iowa. Yeah. He's got at Oregon. If he puts together 2 pretty good performances in those 2 games, this is there for him to take. And I think you and I have talked through text a few times about this sort of, can he be a Jared Goff plus? Can he be a Matt Ryan type? Right? He's not going to run. He's not a poor athlete. Certainly not a plus athlete. He's probably the definition of average. But at his size and in his processing and his willingness to rip it into windows that people don't even see sometimes, I think you would agree with me.
Yeah.
That's where it gets really intriguing. And you probably, Cory, can't find a more seamless fit from college to and I know they're doing a lot of RPO stuff. I'm very aware of how Indiana's offense operates, but that's not the world he's always living in. And I think if you just look at the windows, especially from the Cal tape to what he's doing here at Indiana, which is different, but those window throws he's finding are the types of throws that I think Kevin and company would really like. That's where I'm like, maybe there's not a better fit for what Kevin wants to do than this guy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And not only those window throws, but the ability to see a hit come and take it on the chin and still throw a beautiful football. That's the kind of stuff that impresses me. I will go back to this throw on his Cal tape. It was against Stanford, and they were trailing Stanford pretty late in that game. And it was like a 3rd and 10, and he threw a beautiful post throw, took it right on the chin and layered it right over. It was man-to-man coverage, and he layered it right over the defender into the receiver's hands while taking a shot on the chin. I mean, there's throws like that all over his tape. Again, with Mendoza, the Illinois tape is one of those games as well where it's from an operational standpoint, this is as good as it could have been. But also similar to the Ty Simpson versus Wisconsin, Indiana was never off script. Indiana was never off schedule. Yeah. And the RPO heavy stuff, it really was just death by 1,000 paper cuts in terms of just RPO spamming Illinois all the way into the grave. 6 feet under in that game is really what it was. So live, beautiful stuff. Even charting it, beautiful stuff. Under the hood, probably one impressive throw. Other than that, it was just he's on schedule. He's hitting his back with the balls coming out. The impressive throw I would say would be that that layered ball and that touchdown at the back of the end zone were put on the top shelf. Like that's an NFL throw. You layer over two defenders, and again, if it's a back of the end zone throw, put it up. Make your guy go up and get it. And he put it right on the money. So I want to still see him get into a position where he's playing from behind. He's playing from 3rd and 10. He's playing backed up in his own end zone, situations like that. How does he pull his offense out of those situations? And that's not something we've seen yet this year.
No, but he'll get
him all over the place.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially the offensive line play from those Cal teams were not anything to be desired. Or maybe again a little foreshadowing to what could be around him if he does come to Cleveland immediately. But neither here nor there. But I will say, the two environments he's heading into, the defenses he's heading to face, will be sound at minimum and put them in a place that they're going to be uncomfortable. And I, like you, like to see college quarterbacks uncomfortable, because if they're just comfortable all the time, there's nothing to be learned from that, right? So that's going to be good to watch. There's two others I want to hit on. It's been a weird year for South Carolina, but I think Lenoris is still hovering. They're not going to win many games here. I mean, they're going to beat UMass this weekend, but there's not. This isn't a team that's they're not playing UMass. Who is Kentucky? Excuse me. Sorry about that. I don't, and that's even a toss up. They get Kentucky at home. I just don't know that the team's going to be good, but that probably shouldn't overshadow how he's playing. So update me on where you think he is. If he's having some of that linear growth you're talking about, is he, I don't know, man, you light me where he's at so far this year.
I think Sellers is very much a brick by brick prospect, man. Like, came into the season, like the 2024 tape, you saw flashes.
Yeah.
Kind of operationally, though, it's pretty rough. Getting the ball out on time, it's pretty rough. Finding ways to climb back through the pocket's pretty rough. Like he was throwing for like 7-8 yards deep in the pocket without climbing back through or stepping back through sometimes. Still taking some bad sacks. That's on his tape. But the week by week, man, I just see this guy getting the ball out more on time, working more on schedule, getting his eyes backside more frequently. So like the structural stuff is coming together. I think he's as we can talk about South Carolina a little bit in terms of the program and how much success they're going to have. And it's looking a little rough, but like I always compare it to, like, look at Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma, where he was a massive pocket drifter, always throwing off his back foot, kind of just like a spray shooter. It was going to test any window. And there was like a level of like healthy arrogance to Spencer Rattler's game. And then he came to South Carolina and it was very much drop back under center. We're going to work on your feet. You're going to learn how to be a pocket quarterback. And now he's starting in the NFL for maybe a little bit longer, but he has held down a starting job in the NFL for a little bit. And I think that's the kind of insulation that Lenoris Sellers also needs. And you see that insulation starting to rub off. Like Dowell Loggins was Spencer Rattler's offensive coordinator. Mike Shula is Lenoris Sellers' offensive coordinator. And Dowell Loggins was his offensive coordinator last year as well. These are guys who are very insulated in NFL offensive coordinator roles throughout their coaching careers as well. So like that's a great place for him to be insulated. And again, I see it week by week. He's like the tape. He only threw 7 passes in Vanderbilt before he got knocked out of that game. But like, some of the cleanest 7 reps that I've seen. One of the passes was intercepted. He went 6 for 7 for an interception, but it was because he didn't see a defensive tackle dropping into coverage. Like, okay, we can work around that a little bit. It's not like he missed a robber coming downhill. It's not like he threw it into like very obvious coverage. Like he missed a DT replacing in coverage. Like, okay, we can work with that. And then last week as well, man, like his deep ball's beautiful. The talent obviously is off the charts in terms of athleticism and arm talent. We saw some stuff on the move, throwing back across his body, just like rolling left, throwing the football, like, and layering it over a defender right into his receiver's basket. Like, so he's making some big time throws. And he looks good. He looks good from the pocket. Again, my biggest gripe though, and he is playing behind a really bad offensive line, is every once in a while he's still, because he's an athlete and he's really good with his legs, he tries to spin out of these sacks. Sometimes he ends up getting sacked for like 12 yards lost. Like, take the loss, just get down, take the loss, 6 yards. We'll come back and figure it out later, instead of trying to spin out, run around a little bit, and then it's like, okay, South Carolina just lost 12 yards on that play. So still some stuff to clean up, but again, very much a brick by brick prospect, where it just feels like every week he's taking another step up the staircase.
Yeah, it remains very intriguing. You're gonna have to watch some ugly games that are not going to be the most mainstream for a little while, because again, I just that's not. It's not a very good football team right now. Maybe they get better as the year wears on. Beating Kentucky at home would be a good start for them. Nussmeier gets a big one at Ole Miss. I mean, he's probably been right there. I mean, I don't think he was very good last week. Or 2 weeks ago, they played a meaningless game last week, but 2 weeks ago with Florida, he was fine. I mean, it feels like he's going to be a guy in the first round where a team is like
Mhm.
15th, 16th, 17th, and it's like, well, we wanted a guy, but we're a little out of range. We like some of the performances, the tape, and all that, but it's a good challenge and to continue to build for him. He's putting together a pretty good resume here.
Yeah, I think that like the underlying essence of who I've understood Nussmeier to be is just kind of solidified. It's like he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
Like last year he was fine. Sometimes some post snap rotations really get to him and confuse him a little bit. Very much a Goff like quarterback where it's like if you could keep him protected and keep him structure and let him work in the pocket, we're good. If pressure starts to cave in, if you start throwing some simulated looks at him, some stuff like that, the wheels start to fall off a little bit. I think he's got a good arm. I don't think I would classify it as a great arm. And then the accuracy, especially down the field, can be a little hit or miss. But I've always kind of like even coming into the season viewed Nussmeier as kind of a capped off prospect, just because when I don't love the body type, there's not a lot of room for body development there. And then just like the level of athlete that he is as well. Like,
yeah.
So I think he's a pretty capped off prospect. But again, those this feels like a Pittsburgh Steeler pick to me. Maybe because they just tried to do it with Kenny Pickett in 2022.
That's true.
But this feels like a Steeler pick to me.
In that
they're
range.
kind of treading water again, and they, Aaron Rodgers isn't playing good football. So are they going to like just try to kick the can a little bit further and see what they can do, tread water with a mid-round, first-round quarterback, or do they finally can it and say like let's call it and see what happens in a year? But it kind of just feels like a Steelers quarterback to me right now.
I would agree. He's certainly firmly in the middle to late portion of the first, but that's not enough. I mean, he can still run what NFL teams are expecting him to run. It's just a matter of consistency and how many plays can he make where, what are you chasing? That's kind of the question. Are you chasing somebody who can be one of those guys who can make any given play a second play because he can move out and get where he needs to get, right? Or make a play perfect, as I like to call it, right? Where you get them in the right look, you get them in the right check, you get your eyes at the right spot. I think there's some questions there that I think are fair. Have you looked at Damon Williams and this Washington kid? Have you studied much of him?
No.
Ohio State's going to have their hands full here.
Yeah, he's good. I've watched broadcast. I haven't. Of course, he's a sophomore, so I haven't done a lot of work on him yet. But he's talented for sure.
Can't wait to watch it. I think that'll be a pretty good one. On the way out, Cory, tackles. It feels like tackles the spot, and we can talk other things down the line as we move forward, but it feels again as we're watching almost a recreation of 2023 where they have claiming guys off other practice squads and bringing in veterans for workouts. Who are your guys at tackle this year that have been, I can't expect you to be breaking down everything so far through the year, but just the guys who stand out as far as tackles across the football world. Because we talked about last week, we were on the two Utah kids. Maybe you can update us on how you thought those two Utah kids played against the Texas Tech edge players, and obviously fill us in on anyone who's catching your eye.
Dude, it's a bad tackle class.
That's not what we want to hear.
There's such a premium on 300-pound dudes who can kick step right now at kick step at both the college and the NFL level. Yeah. Like there aren't 64 good tackles in the NFL, and each team needs two. Like
is Fano a tight end? This dude is small. He's gifted, but he's so small.
Like 300, 6'5", 300, 6'4", 300. Yeah, he's my favorite in the class. He moves well. I think he's got a strong core, so he anchors well. 33-inch arms, so like not exceptional length, but good enough length. Again, smooth mover. And again, he plays with really good leverage in the run game.
Yeah.
What I would call deleted scenes, where the offensive tackles drives guys out of the frame. I think he leads the country in deleted scenes. At least he did on last year's tape in the run game. So Fano is like the shot you got to take if you're taking a tackle, because outside of that, like Caden Proctor to Alabama came into the season with some hype, and his tape has been just atrocious. And it
carries like some of the negative traits that Jed brought
last year. Yeah.
Right? Like, does he finish plays? Does he have a deep burning passion to be the best at the position? Like, I just am like watching him thinking the same elements. And now he's naturally a left tackle, which, okay, that's different than what, Cleveland brought a right in to be left. But like, yeah, I just have some concerns around beyond just like, I want my tackles to be technically sound. I want to be able to do things athletically, but I need these guys to care. Like that's the biggest thing, man, is do you care and do you play like your hair's on fire through the whistle?
So for him, I think it's a conditioning thing, because he came into the season listed at 365, and I would bet he's north of that. I would bet he's pretty significantly north of that. And again, even on his 2024 tape, like I have done, like on my podcast, I've been documenting saying, you watch the first 20 plays of a game and you think this guy's the number one player in the class. You watch the last 20 plays of a game, and you think this guy's a UDFA. Yeah. So I do think there's a conditioning element to his tape as well. Caleb Lomu the other Utah tackle had a rough one. against Texas Tech. Again, PFF grades aren't like the end all be all, but when you see a guy get a 29 pass blocking grade when he's a projected first round pick, that's kind of a pretty big red flag.
Yeah.
So he did not have a great game against Texas Tech. I would say the Nevada to Oregon transfer kid World hasn't really had a great tape either, and against pretty subpar level of competition outside of Northwestern. Northwestern's got an explosive kid off the edge, but so we'll see how he does against the NFL athletes that Penn State always turns out this next weekend. But outside
you
of
watched much of the Miami kid that seems to the Muaga kid.
Yeah. He's good.
How is it pronounced, Francis? What?
It's Moinoa.
Moinoa? Okay, boy,
Yeah.
I never would have got there.
No.
Okay, Francis Moinoa. There's no N in there. So what's okay? I don't get it. I'm out of my Cory. I'm out of my depth, brother.
Yep. He's obviously really good. My issue is that like his set stride is so short, and I think he's got some length deficiencies. Where I watch him, and I'm like, that's an all-pro guard. Like I like that. That's an all-pro guard. You just let him stay frame to frame every rep with the man across from him without trying to kick at depth, without trying to match speed off the edge. Like just let him jump set as a guard, or let him like short set if he is kicking 45, and you can keep him in a phone booth a little bit better because he's ox strong. He's got really good hands, like punch strength, really good grip strength. I like his base. He's not out over his waist at all. So like a very good player, but I have some concerns about the level of athlete that he potentially is.
Where are you at on the Goodsby kid, the Texas tackle?
Yeah, I was gonna say he's kind of the wild card in the class. So I think he's got the potential to be
Gooseby. I think I screwed that up. Sorry.
Yeah, Gooseby. It's all good to be the top kid in the class. Again, he was Texas's swing tackle last year. So Cam Williams missed time and Kelvin Banks missed time at like the heart of the schedule. So he started in the playoffs. He started in the SEC championship game. So he has like at both left and right tackle. His left tackle tape is definitely more natural than his right tackle tape. Like I did notice that watching his tape last year. Really good athlete. He was on Feldman's freak list as well. So really good athlete. I do think he's a little upright, a little high cut. So matching speed bend a little bit. There might be some deficiencies as well, but he's long, so he has the ability to kind of compensate a little bit for maybe a little bit what I would say a lack of knee bend. But high end athlete, I want to see him get into SEC play and kind of ramp up that tape a little bit more. But he's a good player.
Yeah.
Good player.
Love it. Good stuff, Cory, man. Daft on Draft. You guys know about it. We talk about it. Go there, get all the draft stuff throughout the year you could possibly need. And Cory and I will be linking up. We're going to try to link up every week. I mean, there's no point not to. And go through this. I should ask, how are you feeling about this weekend? You know, you're still obviously over at the Browns Wire, it's still doing, so just curious how you're feeling about it.
You know, I never know at the NFL, man. I just like, it's any given Sunday in the NFL. So
we'll see.
we'll see, I guess. The defense, like I think the Cleveland defense is apt to stuff a Detroit offense. And again, the Detroit quarterback is one of those quarterbacks who, if you can get some pressure on him and force him off a spot, things get a little nasty sometimes. So we'll see what happens there. But like, they got to score more than 10 points. And, they got to score with field position that's not inside their own 10-yard line at some point as well. So,
yeah, I'm with you, man. They got to make Goff uncomfortable and win on the margins. So, Cory, we appreciate you, bro. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem, Jake.